The boy held a marker in his hand as he bravely climbed up the tall ladder, thinking to himself that as long as he painted the yellow light red, he could ride the train for free. He struggled to move the luggage, but just as he was about to board, a patrolman approached. "Hey, what are you doing?" the patrolman asked suspiciously. The boy was startled, almost dropping his marker. He hastily explained, "Uh, I was just looking at the train." "Looking at the train? This isn't the time for passengers to board. Get down, quick," the patrolman warned. The boy had no choice but to hastily hide under the carriage, and just then the train suddenly started moving. He watched as the train began to move and had to dart out like lightning to avoid being flattened. Running all the way, he finally climbed onto the conveyor belt for cargo and flipped the switch. As he smoothly rid himself of scoliosis, he successfully boarded the train. On the train, he gasped for breath, calling out his name. "I'm Spivet." This was his first time running away from home, and the scenery rushing by made him dance involuntarily. "Too cool," Spivet exclaimed excitedly at the scenery, as if having a conversation with it. He was a young genius, publishing papers in exploration magazines at just 10 years old. During class, he listened to the teacher explain the principles of perpetual motion machines and could easily make one at home. Even more remarkable, he was awarded the prestigious Belda Prize. "Wow, I learned a lot of new things at school today," Spivet excitedly told his father. His father just replied indifferently, "That's good, but don't forget there are more important things to do." Spivet felt a bit disappointed, hoping his family would share his joy, but only receiving a mundane response. Meanwhile, his mother was an entomologist, spending her days in the lab and having little interest in anything other than research. "Mom, I won the Belda Prize," Spivet told his mom excitedly. His mother looked up, a hint of surprise in her eyes. "Oh, that's nice. But isn't it the season for collecting butterfly specimens now?" Spivet's heart sank. She had thought the trophy would change her family's attitude towards her, but reality left her feeling lonely and helpless. So, Spivet decided to leave home alone, hoping that holding the trophy would get her parents' attention. However, the road to receiving the award was exceptionally difficult. Just as he got off the train, he was spotted by a patrolman. In a moment of urgency, Spivet hastily dove into the nearby parked RV, disguising himself as a billboard. However, in that instant, he noticed that someone in the family was still sniffling incessantly. "Oh no, how is someone still sniffing?" Spivet muttered under his breath, quickly grabbing a piece of advertising cloth to wrap himself up. Just as he felt perplexed, thankfully the train sounded its whistle, diverting the attention of the patrolman and allowing him to escape unscathed. As the train continued its journey and night fell, he finally arrived in Nebraska. Spivet hadn't eaten for a long time, and hunger made his head spin. Conveniently, there was a hot dog stand next to the station, and the enticing aroma wafted towards him. "So delicious. I've been hungry all day," Spivet said, swallowing saliva involuntarily, unable to help but exclaim. He remembered how his mom never let him eat hot dogs, calling them junk food, but now he could finally make his own choices. "Mom's not here. I'm my own master now," Spivet said to himself, preparing to approach the hot dog stand. However, as he walked up to the stand, he saw a policeman holding a missing person poster, and his own picture was on it. "Oh God, the police!" Spivet's heart tightened, murmuring softly without thinking. Luckily, the night was dark, and the clerk didn't see clearly. Spivet quickly grabbed a hot dog and ran, successfully evading the police pursuit. That was too close. Spivet breathed heavily, telling himself. On his way back to the station, he hurried past a phone booth, thinking he could finally contact home. He pressed the buttons on the phone booth, hearing the dial tone and loud ringing. Finally, the call connected. "Hello?" He heard his dad's voice. "Dad, it's me, Spivet." He felt a warm surge in his heart, as if he were back in the embrace of home. "Spivet, where are you? We've been so worried." Dad's anxious voice came through, revealing concern and longing for him. "I'm on my way home. I'll be there soon." He felt warm inside, knowing he could finally face his parents. "Hurry back. We need you." Mom's voice also came through, with a hint of choking emotion. He smiled, bid farewell to his parents joyfully, ready to hang up. However, the next second, everything shattered. He didn't enter the phone booth, nor did he contact his parents. It was all just a fantasy. Alone in the car, his thoughts returned to the past accident. He remembered the negligence of his American parents towards him and his brother, remembered the tragic scene. "Mom, I can't find my brother." Spivet's voice echoed in his memory, filled with despair and sorrow. However, the arrival of the ambulance did not save his brother's life. Spivet fell into self-blame and regret, even locking himself in the bathroom for a whole day. But afterwards, his parents' attitude towards him began to turn cold. Life seemed to return to normal, but everyone carried an indescribable pain in their hearts. "Why were you there but didn't stop the tragedy from happening?" Spivet's voice echoed in his mind. Every morning, Mom habitually walked to the door before realizing she didn't need to call his brother to wake up anymore. Dad drank heavily all day, indifferent to everything around him. Spivet studied desperately, invented a perpetual motion machine, and traveled far and wide to receive awards, just to regain his parents' love and save the broken family. But he knew deep down that it was all in vain. After days and nights of traveling, the city finally appeared before Spivet's eyes. He opened his suitcase, only took out the essentials, and packed them into his backpack. For the last stretch of the journey, he decided to travel light. However, shortly after setting off, he encountered a police officer. How can such a young child be wandering alone on the railway tracks? The officer hurriedly caught up. Upon seeing this, Spivet immediately turned and ran, and the two of them chased each other, eventually reaching a bridge. "Stop! Don't run!" the officer shouted, panting heavily. With their footsteps echoing, the crack in the door of the bridge gradually widened. The officer finally breathed a sigh of relief, thinking he had caught Spivet. However, to his surprise, Spivet suddenly jumped up and grabbed the railing on the other side. "Oh my goodness, hold on tight, don't look down," the officer urgently reminded. As the bridge slowly approached the shore, Spivet exerted all his strength and successfully escaped once again. However, that leap caused him to break a rib. Enduring the intense pain, he walked to the side of the road, attempting to hitchhike. "I hope a car passes by," Spivet muttered to himself. After a difficult struggle, a truck finally stopped, driven by a kind-hearted uncle. "Child, what happened to you?" the uncle asked with concern. I need to go to the hospital," Spivet managed to say. "Get in quickly. I'll take you to the hospital." The uncle immediately opened the door. In the car, the two began to chat. "Where are you from?" the uncle asked. "I'm from a small town," Spivet replied. "I'm on my way to receive an award at the Smithsonian Institute." "Wow, that's an impressive place," the uncle exclaimed. Upon arriving at the hospital, the uncle continued to help take care of Spivet. "Thank you for your help," Spivet said gratefully. "Don't mention it, young man," the uncle said with a smile. "You're a brave kid. You'll go far in the future." After receiving treatment, Spivet's injuries gradually improved. Finally, he took a photo with the uncle before embarking on his journey to the Smithsonian Institute. In order to avoid being sent back home, Spivet decided to lie and say he was an orphan whose parents had passed away long ago. The female official got excited. In an instant, she realized that this boy would be a good source of income. On the day of the award ceremony, the female official prepared a suit for Spivet and styled his hair to make him look more mature. Celebrities came to talk to him, praising his youth and talent. However, Spivet could see that none of their smiles were genuine. During the speech, Spivet had three things to say. First, he thanked the organizers for not disqualifying him because of his young age. Second, he talked about his invention, which relied mainly on magnets for power. However, it was well known that magnetism would disappear in 400 years, so humanity still had a long way to go to develop a true perpetual motion machine. After finishing the first 2 points, Spivet remained silent for a long time before slowly speaking out the third point. At this moment, there was a commotion among the audience. They couldn't understand why such a matter would suddenly be brought up at such a prestigious occasion. However, they didn't know that Spivet had come from afar to seize this opportunity to express his grievances. His younger brother had always liked guns, but Spivet was indifferent to them. However, in order to play together, he decided to make a sound wave chart of gunshots. On the day of the accident, a gun jammed, and he just helped hold the gunstock without even touching the trigger. Then, the explosion happened, and his brother flew into the sky. The boy's tender voice was filled with loneliness and sadness, causing even the adults present to tear up. Only the female official remained unmoved, running up to the stage excitedly and embracing him with insincere affection. After the awards ceremony, the female official stuck to him like glue, taking Spivet to radio stations to participate in aristocratic banquets and arranging magazine interviews. Spivet became an overnight sensation, the darling of the media, but he couldn't feel happy at all, being treated as a money-making tool and consumed day and night. No one wanted to ask if the injured ribs still hurt, or if he wanted to go home. When he packed his bags initially, he casually grabbed his mother's diary. Inside, it meticulously documented every detail of each child from birth until now. The more Spivet flipped through it, the sadder he felt, only feeling more isolated. Spivet tried to call home, but no one answered. During a talk show, the host intentionally stirred things up by asking Spivet if he felt guilty for causing his brother's death. Spivet froze, unsure how to respond. Just then, to his surprise, his mother appeared as a guest to support her son. "It's not your fault," his mother said. "I should be the one feeling guilty. What kind of parents give a real gun to their child as a toy and don't even supervise?" "It wasn't anyone's fault," she continued. "It was an accident." Years later, the mother and son finally stopped avoiding each other and chose to have an open conversation. Spivet also finally realized that his parents were not as calm as they appeared on the surface. Their hearts were already riddled with guilt. "You didn't stop loving me," Spivet said. "You just temporarily lost the ability to love in immense pain." It was Spivet's sudden departure that shattered the facade of peace and brought back vitality from the past. The mother and son embraced deeply, then turned and left without caring about the cameras still rolling. The host hurried to catch up. "Where are you going?" the host asked. Spivet's father suddenly appeared and gave him a punch. Spivet climbed onto his father's shoulders, wearing a cowboy hat symbolizing bravery. "We're going home," Spivet said with a smile. The family of 3 left the studio without a backward glance, wandering around and returning to where they started. As time passed, life gradually returned to normal.